Well, good morning. When I got asked to speak on the topic of craft, I have to say it took me a while to craft this speech because I kept going in a lot of different directions of what I wanted to share because the word has really been kind of a part of the fabric of my life for a while. And kind of what I want to start with. As I started with the definition, I am a creative person, but I often turn analytical. So I was like, well, let's see what others are saying about craft. And so, I found that, okay, so craft is an occupation or trade requiring manual dexterity or artistic skill. And that's where I kind of ran into some issues with that because, for me, being an artist and studying art, my degree is in art education, art was always elevated over craft. Craft was something that kind of had a different connotation. If you say somebody's crafty versus artsy, it sets the tone of like what kind of person that is and what they do. So, I've been challenged a lot to be thinking about, well, what's art or craft? So Mona Lisa, right? Everybody can agree that kind of is a shining example of art at its finest. It's a recognized icon. But would this be art or craft? And it's kind of ironic. I did not realize, I didn't do my homework before to see that the museum here has a show with textile artists doing some things pretty fabulously with the medium. This is how that piece was made. It's by an artist who's embroidered that portrait, and to me, whoops, I did it again. There's a picture of her studio. But then at the bottom, that's kind of what we think of that craft. It's still using the same medium, but the application is a little different. So, what does that really say? So, the other part I feel is that a little bit that definition is blurred because it's maybe in how you sell it. So, you look at those two things of embroidery thread, but it's really, you could be crafty, deceivingly so. I think this is the biggest deceiver. Sorry to kill any Martha Stewart fans, but I have to say, she has made it, the lifestyle expert, in quotes, I think she's made it really deceiving that craft is easy and something that, if you have the right paints, the Stewart line of paints, that you'll be able to do whatever you need to do or the right kind of glitter or whatever it is. But she certainly has mastered her craft. She certainly has made a name for herself. But, is it the art of selling crafts to people? Or is she still kind of around? I have to say, there's so many craft fails. I think they even did a Pinterest, book on Pinterest fails. It's not for lack of trying, so she makes it seem so easy. But crafting is hard, and there is some skill required to it. I have to say that none of these are my pictures, but I can certainly identify with, although I've never tried to knit a dog a sweater, but I can certainly identify with having this one idea of like what you want to accomplish and it totally falling flat. Here's some other things too of falling flat, right? So the fact is that what Martha's brought to this world beyond, some nice place setting ideas and different things is that there's some sort of level of perfection, even in the field of craft. I think some people will say, oh, I'm not an artist. I hear that all the time. I'm not an artist, I'm not creative, I'm not crafty. Everybody is creative to a certain end, even if you're mimicking, trying to mimic someone else's craft. So really, I feel like for me, craft is a verb. It's an action. It's exercise and skill in making. And so, I wanted to share a little bit of my making. So I'm a collage artist when I get time. And these are two of my collages. I find that I really like collage because you're kind of starting with something that already exists. I think I'm much better. I've learned over my years that I'm much better at kind of taking in something that's been started and adding to it and kind of developing it into something new. A lot of my work is very narrative. It has very long titles. So he didn't like all the pressure from her to make the next move. And, they kind of have different connotations to them. And I soon realized, my artwork was fine and good, but it wasn't really paying the bills because art also has a different connotation than craft. Craft is almost like art for the people. And there's a part of me that really wanted to make my art accessible, not only to make a few bucks to support my craft hoarding habit of, having all these supplies in my house, But I just I wanted people to be able to enjoy it. And so I kind of transitioned into doing some jewelry. So this is kind of my, I'm not as active doing this anymore, but, kind of taking the collages. So it's all, materials that I've cut up. And so it's not a copy, it's like an actual authentic thing. But this was kind of my line. You can see my humor kind of pep throughout. So, making a lot of things. And I'll have to say, I'm married, yeah. I am married to a CPA who I have to say he's creative in the kitchen, which is good because I really don't like to cook at all. But a lot of it when I was working would be like, well, how long did it take you to make this, and what do you think you could sell it for? And there was a lot of talk like that, and I had to kind of remind him like, it's not that easy. Like, and I see like the question today was like, I get crafty, and like I feel like it has to be stormy and dark, and everybody needs to be away. Like my kids need to be doing something else, and people leave me alone because you go through this phase of like, all right, I'm going to sit down. This is awesome. I have these great ideas. Ooh, this isn't turning out the way I want. This sucks. I suck. Why am I doing this? And then you kind of pull yourself out of it. And I kind of feel like this creative process really translates into a lot of other things. So the other thing I co-created with my husband after much practice, is these two beautiful girls, London and Aslan. And what really came out of it is a different level of perfection kind of was brought to my attention. Because now you have these little things that you have to take care of. And I'm just sharing that recipe for iced coffee because, again, things don't really work out the way you intend. So your priorities change, right? And of course, when I first started out, I really wanted to protect them and make sure nothing was happening to them. And I'll introduce a new word because I'm finding a lot of people, the helicopter moms and all that. I was really trying not to be like that. But if you've heard the term lawnmower mom, just get everything out of their way for them. Pave the way, make it really easy. And it's not that easy. And so we're trying to kill ourselves. And I was finding that I was killing myself trying to be perfect. And it was just making me insane. So I think that clip really kind of sums it up for me of just, running frantic and trying to do all this. And, that is kind of a snippet of my life in some sense. But also, there wasn't a whole lot of time to do that traditional craft. And so I was finding another way to kind of express myself. And this is true. One of those is a lie. And I'll give you a hint. It's not that. This never happens in my house without any sort of bribing at all. This is more what my house looks like. Lots of pink things all around. And, this is kind of the point of my talk where I kind of segue into my job now and where I found myself at Resource Depot is, there is so much stuff in the world. And there's a lot of things that we're getting bombarded with. And part of the problem is Amazon and how easy it is to get things into your home very quickly with literally a click. And so, what we're all ending up with is just a lot of stuff that is cluttering up our lives that is really its lack of craft over convenience. These things are not being made very well. And so we're ending up with a lot of things mostly made of plastic. So, now we've created industries where we need places to hold our stuff. So now there's storage units, and there's even a store for the containers that we need to hold the stuff that we're buying. Which is kind of ironic. And unfortunately, the stuff, even when you're trying to escape it, is finding its way to places that you wouldn't normally expect. So that's kind of where Resource Depot comes in. So, this is where, for me, the craft intersected the cause, what I really started to get passionate about. And I'll share this because this sums it up a lot better than I could.
Now, Spotlight on Business, brought to you by Children's Services Council of Palm Beach County.
Welcome to Spotlight on Business. Today, Jennifer O'Brien is joining us from Resource Depot, which is the coolest place. Tell me about your mission.
Well, Resource Depot is a creative reuse center in Palm Beach County that takes in items of donated materials that are destined for the landfill, and we revive those materials and put them back into classrooms and artists' hands and families' hands so that they can do something else with them that's fun.
And you use two words that are kind of buzzwords. It's called creative reuse and upcycling. What does that mean?
Well, creative reuse is a little bit what it sounds. It's taking an item that is used for another purpose, and maybe that purpose has run out or you have no need for that item anymore, but you're turning it into into something else that's also useful. So we take all these materials that may have been used for one thing, but now can be converted into something else. And that's what upcycling is. It's taking an item and kind of continuing that cycle so that it can be used again.
Helping the environment, it sounds like.
Yes.
So what kind of programs does Resource Depot offer to the community?
Well, we do both programs at our location on West Palm Beach, and we also do programs out in the community, some of which are in our after-school program with Prime Time of Palm Beach County and Children's Services Council that funds that for us. We also go into classrooms and do projects with the kids. They often come to us for field trips and do projects. We have a gallery program and a Tinker Lab, and we do a lot of workshops for the community, really with the focus on making people aware of creative reuse and giving them the tools that they need to make things.
And you must be looking for all sorts of donations.
Yes. We get a lot of different items in from businesses and individuals. I have to say the most sought after items are those arts and craft items, those unusual things that you just might not find anywhere else. And they're not the kind of things that you see at a thrift store, so the types of donations we're looking for are not the shoes and the clothing and the household goods. It's the odds and ends and the bits and scraps that people might have around and not know what to do with.
And really quickly, if someone wants to get involved with Resource Depot, how do they do that?
Well, all they need to do is go to our website. We have a volunteer application. We always have need for people to help us sort, organize, help us out in the community. So we're always looking for people to join our community.
All right, it's a fun place. Thanks for watching.
So just to give you a little idea, so yeah, we do take in, there is a lot of stuff because that's just a fraction of what we take in donations. And so just a little bit about our impact. And so really what we're about is this linear economy. We're mostly in a linear economy where something is created, it's resources are extracted, it's produced, distributed, we consume it, and then it ends up in the garbage. And part of a circular economy, which is really what we're trying to do with creative reuse, is that cycle continues. And so that you're putting, you're kind of keeping things from the waste stream as long as possible. So this is just some examples of what we've done. And we did at Create Day, that was at the Kelsey Theater, we did with A&R Group. We were starting to do a reusable bag project, that's the picture on the right, where we're really telling people that they have a choice in what kind of things that they consume, that they can refuse something. No thanks, I don't need a bag, to I reuse. And so it's kind of the idea that, you can go from the bottom up, use what you have, then you borrow, maybe swap with somebody, then you go to a thrift store, maybe you're making it, and then you're buying it. And the thing on the right is really true, the things you need, things you want, and the things you actually use is so small. And really, I do believe that there are things that magically appear in my house, and I have no idea how they got there. So really for me, in my journey for craft is it became part of a lifestyle. And being at Resource Depot and marrying my artistic side to what I do for a living now for the community is, it's really getting rid of the stuff that you don't want in your life. And I wanted to share a book too. This is a book I read recently, and it's one of those where I've kept it because I'm going to read it again, I'm sure, come back to it, is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And I encourage you to read it because it really kind of puts you on notice as far as, we can't do it all. We can't be like Mila Kunis' character in Bad Moms and just try to run frantic, and can't do it all, so do the best things, because that's really what it ends up, being the better you. So you're crafting your life. You're not doing all the have-tos and trying to fit it all in and feel ragged. It's when you can choose to do things and you're crafting your life, and just like an artist or a sculptor would have, adding and taking away and really forming the best possible you end up having a lot more joy in life. So to me, I kind of came to the conclusion that this definition of craft is really where it's at too. It's skill in planning, making, executing. It's an intentional process. So obviously, we really need to be kind of thoughtful about things. So it's taking your talent, it's taking, the market for your talent, taking your passion. You're going to find that sweet spot, that highest point of contribution. So the other picture is, you're exerting all your energies in one way, but if you could really focus and stay the course, you're going to be a more productive person. So my children are much older now. And this was literally a picture taken maybe about a week ago when we had to do our annual checkups. And my youngest is reading out of the Puberty for Girls brochure she found and cracking up over words that, she's not even pronouncing right, but it's all right. So, I think for me, motherhood and why I included that all in this is that's really crafting me into a different type of person. But, I think, again, it's the choices. You want 10 years from now, I want to be able to say that I chose the life and my path, and I've crafted my life in a way that I didn't settle. I didn't look back and be, oh, what was I doing? So always be a work in progress. Thank you.